During the early 1990s, Morgan Creek, a movie studio, possessed a film script penned by Jack Bernstein that had been waiting to be brought to life. Subsequently, the screenplay has been characterized as an amalgamation of Fletch and the feature film Dr. Dolittle. CEO James Robinson of Morgan Creek aimed to transform it into a comedy with widespread appeal. Funny man Tom Shadyac took a look at the script and saw potential in it. He proposed a rewrite, and Robinson, in agreement, granted him the additional opportunity to direct it. Shadyac had a single actor in mind that he believed was the only one capable to lead the movie, Jim Carrey.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jim Carrey, and how are you this evening? Alrighty then.
Rick Moranis and Alan Rickman were discussed as potential options during brainstorming sessions. Additionally, maybe even Whoopi Goldberg could lead the film if they decided to go with a female lead, but Tom knew it was only Jim Carrey that could make it work. Jim Carrey was formally integrated into the team, and both he and Tom commenced collaborative efforts to edit the script into a screenplay. However, this time around, the script had loosened up a bit to allow Carrey some room to be able to improvise.
Carrey was heavily involved in the production of Ace Ventura, contributing rewrites to the script and injecting numerous moments off the top of his head. Ace goes out of his way to pull on a cellist's arm. This causes the musician to hit a wrong note, but Ace just keeps walking without skipping a beat.
Oh, look, honey, there's the hors d'oeuvres.
One version of the script was gorier than one would expect. Allegedly, these scenes were shot but removed for obvious reasons. Among the omitted scenes are the decapitation of the henchman in the movie's climax and a concluding sequence depicting the dismemberment of Ace himself. However, these instances are overshadowed by a deleted scene in which Ace disrupts a gas station clerk midway through attempting self-deletion with a double barrel in his mouth simply to inquire for directions.
How would they have gotten there from here?
Ace Ventura: Pet Detective was released on February 4th, 1994. Having an estimated budget of $115 million in 1990s money, the opening weekend yielded $12 million. During its run in theaters, it earned $72 million domestically and $35 million internationally, resulting in a global sum of $107 million. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective falls under the comedy genre and carries a PG-13 rating for off-color humor and some nudity. The total runtime is 86 minutes. In terms of critical receptions, it holds a 6.9 out of 10 on IMDb, with a score of 37 on Metacritic. On Rotten Tomatoes, it achieved the critics' approval of 48% and an audience of 57%. Siskel and Ebert were brutal towards the movie.
This week, Siskel and Ebert review Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
February has just begun, but you're going to hear a lot more about Ace Ventura: Pet Detective from me next January on our Worst of the Year show. This is an appallingly bad movie. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, shockingly bad. 2 more thumbs down, way down, for the appalling would-be comedy Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, a film that, well, how can I put this? It's not quite as entertaining as Rabies. 2 thumbs.
Before Ace came out, my manager sat me down at a restaurant in Chicago, and they said, we got kind of bad news. Siskel and Ebert killed you, and don't know what's next from here. They had the words on a page, and it said, the worst movie ever made, the worst actor ever made. This is the end. This is whatever.
Because it was completely original. No one had seen it.
It was so scathing. Yeah. I mean, I've been disappointed so many times in my career. I go, well, okay. What happened, to my just absolute delight, was that by the time I had done Truman Show, Siskel and Ebert did an entire episode just about me and called it Jim Carrey Clown with Class. And I get emotional thinking about it. It was incredible. Like, they just said we were wrong. Both of them said we were wrong. We didn't know what we were seeing.
Jim Carrey was born on January 17, 1962 in Newmarket, Canada. Jim plays Ace Ventura, who is an eccentric pet detective who is hired to find the kidnapped mascot of the Miami Dolphins, a dolphin named Snowflake. Prior to Pet Detective, Jim Carrey was mainly known for being on the TV show In Living Color. Ace Ventura: Pet Detective marks Jim Carrey's debut in film. He broke into the scene with Pet Detective in February, The Mask in July, and finished the year with Dumb and Dumber in December. 1994 was Jim Carrey's year. Courtney Cox was born on June 15, 1964 in Birmingham, Alabama. Courtney plays Melissa Robinson, who is the team's chief publicist and tags along Ace, whom she hired to find Snowflake. Prior to Ace Ventura, Courtney starred in Cocoon: The Return in 1998 and Mr. Destiny in 1990. After Ace Ventura, Courtney went on to star in Scream and Scream 2 in 1997. This is on top of being cast in the hit TV show Friends as Monica, which is considered one of the best sitcoms ever. Sean Young was born on November 20th, 1959 in Louisville, Kentucky. In Ace Ventura, she plays Lieutenant Einhorn, who is leading the police side of the investigation on the missing mascot. Before landing herself in Ace Ventura, she starred in Even Cowgirls Get the Blues and Fatal Instinct, both released in 1999. She is most recognized as Rachel from Blade Runner. Tom Shadyac was born on December 11th, 1958 in Falls Church, Virginia. In researching, all the sources kept reinforcing the fact that he was Bob Hope's youngest joke writer. Therefore, Tom Shadyac was famously known for being Bob Hope's youngest joke writer. Ace Ventura was Tom's debut film in Hollywood, and when asked about his first time directing, Tom was quoted as saying,
"They say don't work with animals and children. And I have about 50 animals in the show and Jim Carrey. So I think that pretty much says it all."
Excuse me.
After Pet Detective, Shadyac went on to direct The Nutty Professor and Liar Liar with Jim Carrey once again. The film features a prominent cast and crew, including several ex-Miami Dolphins members who make cameo appearances. Former quarterback Dan Marino takes on a significant role beyond a mere cameo. Furthermore, Ace Ventura encounters the band Cannibal Corpse during their onstage performance of Hammer Smashed Face.
I got a phone call from Mike Faley one day, and he was like, "Hey, Chris, I got an offer for you guys to do a movie. Have you ever heard of this comedian, Jim Carrey?"
Friday night, probably about 5 o'clock at night, get a call. "Hey, Mike, do you think that Cannibal Corpse can make it down here Sunday?" They didn't think the band would agree to it, but we said, "Sure, why not? Let's go in there and do this thing."
They filmed for 4 days, and it's all you see in the movie is like a minute and a half of those guys.
It was definitely a little intimidating, but it was cool to watch it all come together and see that.
The movie opens up with Jim Carrey walking down the street as he's carelessly delivering a package. At the home entrance, Ace gets the homeowner's attention with some paperwork, providing a diversion as he rescues the dog. As he makes his escape, the true nature of the situation becomes apparent. Ace is actually saving the kidnapped dog and bringing him to safety. We then cut to an aquarium tank where faceless individuals are in the process of kidnapping a dolphin. The following day, we are introduced to Melissa Robinson, played by Courtney Cox, and Roger Podacter, played by Troy Evans, who are getting chewed out for the fact that the Miami Dolphins mascot Snowflake had been kidnapped 2 weeks before the Super Bowl. One of the secretaries recommends the services of our pet detective to Melissa.
I wanted to tell you, when I lost my cuddles, I hired a pet detective.
In the next scene, we have Ace Ventura meeting with Melissa in the Miami Dolphins office, where she introduces Snowflake through a film reel. Once familiarized, Ventura begins his investigation in the location where the dolphin was last seen. Within the emptied water tank, Ace's actions take on a comedic tone as he comically scans his surroundings, ultimately discovering no hints. He then shifts his focus to the water filter. Among the scattered debris, his initial clue comes to light, an orange gemstone in the shape of a triangle. Later, he visits the Miami Police Department to collect any information that the police have uncovered. Here we meet Lieutenant Louis Einhorn, played by Sean Young, who warns police that the police are investigating the kidnapping and that he should not interfere. We cut to a concert in progress with a cameo by Cannibal Corpse, and Ace cuts through the crowd to the back office where he meets a friend of his. This friend seems to have a strong understanding of computing. Ace asks him to research individuals who have bought equipment for transporting and housing dolphins from aquatic stores in the vicinity during the past few months. All of the hits are from shops except for a civilian billionaire who happens to be a rare fish collector. Ace uses Melissa to get himself invited to a party that the man is hosting in order to look around the premises. At the party, we meet the billionaire Ron Kemp, played by Udo Kier, and immediately use an excuse to get out of sight. Ventura slips through the bathroom window and breaks into a room where he mistakes a shark's holding tank for snowflakes. On the way out, Camp shakes Ace's hand and Ace realizes that the ring that Camp was wearing has the same gemstone that was found in the tank filter. It appears that the ring originates from the 1984 AFC Championship, and the individual without the stone will likely be the one who abducted Snowflake. Cue the montage. One by one, Ace begins checking off the roster of members who got a ring that year. After checking every member's ring to no avail, Ventura is puzzled as to why none of the members were missing a stone, and Melissa suggests that the stone could have been from somebody else's piece of jewelry. Just as they were in the middle of the discussion, Melissa's phone rings and she's informed that Roger Predactor had jumped out of his apartment building. The duo then go to the apartment where the police are already investigating, and Ace runs into Lieutenant Einhorn. After she disrespects him, Ace tells her his theory in which Roger Predactor was taken out and that it wasn't an act of self-removal like they currently believe. Returning to Dolphin headquarters, Melissa and Ace are going through the files when Ace notices an extra player in the group photo. He asks Melissa who the player is because he was missing in the Ace's original photograph. Melissa informs him that the player is Ray Finkel and wasn't on the list because he was added to the roster later in the season. This clue leads Ace to check Ray Finkel's ring. Upon further research, they find that Finkel's career completely ended after he missed the field goal and lost the Super Bowl that year, which Ace reasons that could be considered a motive. Ace takes a trip to Finkel's hometown where it's been said that he was last seen at, and stops by his parents' house. At his parents' house, he gets clued in that Ray Finkel blames Dan Marino for losing his football career and now correctly believes that Dan Marino is in danger. Ace then warns Melissa that Dan Marino is currently in danger. We cut to Dan in the middle of recording a commercial and the two extras carrying him off stage. Just as they're loading him up in the car, Ace catches up to them but unfortunately loses them in a high-speed chase. Back at Miami PD, Ventura informs Einhorn that what he's uncovered. He lets her know that Finkel's grudge and loss of career led him to be committed to a Shady Acres mental hospital, where he's been planning his revenge. With this knowledge, Ace decides to get a hold of Ray's belongings that are currently locked in at Shady Acres. Under the guise of a potential patient, Ace enters the facility and successfully escapes from the doctor, aiming to search through the private rooms for Finkel's belongings. In between Finkel's belongings, Ace finds a newspaper clipping that reports of a missing hiker named Louis Einhorn. A short while later, we witness Ace's police friend going through Louis Einhorn's office. He then notifies Ace about discovering a letter written by Roger Predactor expressing gratitude to Louis for an enjoyable evening. Back in the apartment, Ace is trying to figure out the connection between Ray Finkel, Louis Einhorn, and Roger Predactor's murder. After piecing the evidence together, Ventura realizes that Finkel had taken the identity of the missing hiker. With this breakthrough, Ventura tails Einhorn into an abandoned yacht warehouse. Here we find both Snowflake and Dan Marino being held as hostages. Ace takes out both henchmen out before he himself gets held up in gunpoint. Louis calls for backup, claiming that Ace was the mastermind behind the kidnappings. With the police force in attendance, Ace begins to prove that Louis Einhorn is Ray Finkel. He starts detailing how and why Finkel assumed the personality of Louis Einhorn and explained that after Predactor found out her secret, she ended up killing him. Once rescued, Dan Marino is able to play in the second half of the Super Bowl, and Ace is acknowledged for the rescue of both Miami Dolphins stars.